Jesus was standing one day by the lake of Gennesaret, with the crowd pressing round him, listening to the word of God, when he caught sight of 2 boats close to the bank. The fishermen had gone out of them and were washing their nets. He got into one of the boats, it was Simon's, and asked him to put out a little from the shore. Then he sat down and taught the crowd from the boat. When he had finished speaking, he said to Simon, "Put out into deep water and pay out your nets for a catch." "Master," Simon replied, "we worked hard all night long and caught nothing. But if you say so, I'll pay out the nets." And when they had done this, they netted such a huge number of fish that their nets began to tear. So they signaled to their companions in the other boats to come and help them. When these came, they filled the 2 boats to sinking point. When Simon Peter saw this, he fell at the knees of Jesus, saying, "Leave me, Lord, I am a sinful man." For he and all his companions were completely overcome by the catch they had made. So also were James and John, sons of Zebedee, who were Simon's partners. But Jesus said to Simon, "Do not be afraid. From now on it is men you will catch." Then, bringing their boats back to land, they left everything and followed him. There's a line in that gospel that always moves me. It's when Jesus tells Peter to put out into deep water. I must have heard it dozens of times before, but it first made an impression on me in 2001. It was the end of the year of the Great Jubilee in the church, and all sorts of things had been happening. In January of 2001, Pope John Paul wrote a letter called Novo Millennio Ineunte, at the beginning of the new millennium. It was a very hope-filled document, and the Pope talked of building on the sense of joy that was very much around. In the very first paragraph, John Paul quoted today's gospel, "Put out into deep water," and he invited us to remember the past with gratitude, live the present with enthusiasm, and look forward to the future with confidence. Wouldn't that be a wonderful spirit in which to embrace the current synod? The quote, "Put out into deep water," was picked up by many, including Bishop Taylor. It was probably his use of it, at Whithorn I think, that made the deepest impression on me, and it's stayed with me ever since. There's something scary about deep water, isn't there? It's a place of storms and hidden dangers and the unknown. But, as Peter discovered, it's also the place of great reward. And that's where we are being invited to go, out into the depths, into the unknown. To do that, we need to let go of the security and the familiarity of safe harbors, of where we're comfortable, or what we have known, and risk what is new. In a way, I suppose this synod is a setting out into the unknown, especially for bishops who might not like what they hear, who might not like having to listen with open minds and open hearts. But it's a bit of a risk for everybody. It's new. We've never really been asked for our opinion on the church before. Not like this. And while some might be excited to let the bishops know what they think of the church, what they think the church is getting right or getting wrong, others might find it quite challenging, quite a frightening prospect. I know when I sat down to fill in the questionnaire, I found what I wrote was quite different to what I'd expected to write. I stood up in our churches over several weeks and made it sound quite an easy thing to do, to fill in the questionnaire. Important, but not that difficult. But I didn't find it quite so easy when I sat down to fill it in myself. Deep water is full of dangers and risk, but it's also full of reward. Nevertheless, the synod fills me with something of that hope the great Jubilee filled John Paul with. And I'm once again thinking of what putting out into the deep means for me and for our church. For me, there's something about not fishing where we've always fished, not doing what we have always done. There's something about moving beyond where I'm comfortable, beyond what's familiar, letting go of the security of rules and regulations and focus more on people. Maybe becoming less involved with the people who already come to the church and looking for ways to engage with those outside it, and not particularly on a religious level, but on a personal level. Since coming to Prestwick, to Mossblown, I've rediscovered my enthusiasm for working with schools. And one of the biggest challenges is not having a structure to work in. There are things I do, like celebrate Mass and teach the odd class, but much of the time, being the chaplain is just about being. Wasting time with purpose, someone once described it. But that's hard. There's always that feeling that I should be doing something. And there's so much that could be done. I can't hear today's gospel without feeling challenged by the line, "Put out into deep water," and asking what that might mean for me. But neither can I hear it without feeling something of the encouragement and hope John Paul and Bishop Taylor spoke of at the end of the Jubilee, and the beginning of a new millennium of hope and new opportunities to remember with gratitude, to live with enthusiasm, and look forward in confidence.